we need to have a system in which there is no actual chemical bond. So no actual chemical bond exists between the atoms. So we need to define those radius of those atoms in which no actual chemical bond exists. That is non-bonded system. Second, this van der Waals radius, normally this is defined in terms for solids in solid state. तो सॉलिड स्टेट में हम लोग जो रेडियस डिफाइन करते हैं नॉर्मली ये क्या होता है, दैट इज van der Waals रेडियस को मीन करते हैं. तो सिंस इन नॉन बॉन्डेड इंटरेक्शन के लिए, तो अगर नॉन बॉन्डेड इंटरेक्शन है तो इसका मतलब इनके बीच में जो अट्रैक्टिव फोर्स होगा दैट इज अ वीक फोर्स है जिसका नाम है van der Waals फोर्स. तो इन दो कंडीशन के लिए हम जो रेडियस डिफाइन करेंगे तो इसको हम लोग कहते हैं van der Waals रेडियस. तो समटाइम्स दिस van der Waals रेडियस को हम लोग कहते हैं कॉलिजन रेडियस भी कहते हैं. समटाइम्स कोई ऑथर इसको कॉलिजन रेडियस के नाम से भी जाने जाते हैं. तो नाउ सिंस लुक एट दिस, वी आर सेइंग कि van der Waals फोर्स एग्जिस्ट है, नो बॉन्ड प्रेजेंट है, कोई बॉन्ड प्रेजेंट है नहीं. उस तरह के सिस्टम के लिए वी आर डिफाइनिंग अ रेडियस व्हिच इज नोन एज van der Waals रेडियस. तो अब चलिए, सपोज वी हैव ए सिस्टम जिसमें एक एटम ए है और दूसरे एटम ए के बीच में देयर इज नो कोवैलेंट बॉन्ड. तो नाउ सपोज ये आपके पास एटम ए, सपोज दिस इज न्यूक्लियस, वी हैव दिस second atom A. Now in between these two adjacent atoms, we are taking two adjacent atoms, isolated, non-bonded. There is no actual chemical bond. So we take these two adjacent A atoms in which there is no actual chemical bond present between these atoms. Now we take this distance. This distance between the nucleus. We say this distance, this is D, this is known as internuclear distance. We have this internuclear distance between two adjacent non-bonded atoms. Now we take the half of this internuclear distance. Half of this internuclear distance. तो ये distance, that is half of this internuclear distance, this is what we call as van der Waals radius of this A. Similarly, this is also half. So this van der Waals radius is half of this internuclear distance. So look at this. This is for a non-bonded system, two adjacent molecules, because when we place these two, there will be enormous amount of repulsion. So this is the point where these two adjacent atoms can have the balance between repulsion as well as attitude. That means these two atoms can undergo this distance. इतना distance में दोनों exist कर सकते हैं. अगर इसे थोड़ा सा कम करेंगे तो there will be a enormous amount of repulsion. तो इस repulsion में अगर रहेंगे तो that cannot be the adjacent atom. So we take this distance. तो इस particular distance that is called as internuclear distance. वो भी किसका? Two non-bonded isolated atoms. उसका जब हाफ लिया तो हाफ ऑफ दिस इंटरन्यूक्लियर डिस्टेंस दैट इज व्हाट वी कॉल एज द van der Waals रेडियस. तो डेफिनेशन सेज, तो इस मतलब के इज द फोर्स जो प्रेजेंट है दैट इज van der Waals फोर्स. van der Waals फोर्स मतलब कोई भी अगर वीक फोर्स प्रेजेंट है, नॉट एक्चुअल केमिकल बॉन्ड, कोई भी अगर वीक फोर्स प्रेजेंट है दैट वीक फोर्स इज नोन एज van der Waals फोर्स. तो लेट्स डिफाइन दिस van der Waals रेडियस. तो दिस van der Waals रेडियस इज डिफाइंड एज 1/2 of the internuclear distance, 1/2 of the internuclear distance between two adjacent isolated atoms. So I'm saying between two adjacent non-bonded isolated atoms. These are two adjacent atoms and these are isolated and there is no actual chemical bond. So this distance is what we call as the van der Waals radius. So now look at this. We are saying that this is for van der Waals. Normally the size of noble gas, that is helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, these elements, the reactivity is very poor, so normally these elements does not undergo chemical reaction similar to the rest of the elements. So these being the noble gas, their sizes are defined in terms of van der Waals radius. So noble gas, they are defined in terms of van der Waals radius. So as I told you, this noble gas, I'm not saying that it doesn't undergo chemical reaction. There are some noble gas which undergoes chemical reaction which bonds forms. But irrespective of those elements, most of these noble gas, the reactivity being very poor, they does not undergo chemical bonding in covalent bond as well as ionic bond. So since the reactivity being very poor, this noble gas, the distance or the size of this noble gas, they are measured in terms of van der Waals radius. So now look at this, we take this helium. So we have this helium, or this is second helium. So this is the internuclear distance. So we take this half. So this is what we call as the van der Waals radius of helium, which is equals to half of this internuclear distance. So this is again van der Waals radius of helium, which is equal to d by 2, and this distance, this is the internuclear distance. So this is what we call as the van der Waals radius. So we can take this noble gas or we can take these molecules also. Now look at this, we have this oxygen molecule. So in oxygen molecule there is a covalent bond between oxygen and oxygen. So now we say suppose we say this is oxygen molecule, take another oxygen molecule, so we have oxygen molecules. This is one oxygen molecule, this is another oxygen molecule. We take these two adjacent atoms of the same element, two adjacent atoms of the same element in two adjacent molecules. So we take this oxygen, this is oxygen of another molecule, and these oxygen are two adjacent oxygen atoms of the same element oxygen in two adjacent molecules of the same substance. So we take this distance. Now look at this, between these two there is no actual chemical bond, so we say this distance, that is the internuclear distance, and half of this internuclear distance, this is what we call as the van der Waals radius of this oxygen. So अगर simply O2 molecule use करेंगे then the distance will be covalent radius, but we take two oxygen molecules. So when we have two adjacent oxygen molecules, so these two adjacent oxygen atoms of the same element oxygen in the same state, तो इनका जो डिस्टेंस है इसको मैंने काउंट किया, दैट इज इंटरन्यूक्लियर डिस्टेंस, बिकॉज इन दोनों के बीच में देयर इज नो एक्चुअल केमिकल बॉन्ड, सो दिस कम्स अंडर नॉन बॉन्डेड सिस्टम. तो इनका जस्ट हाफ लिया, तो हाफ ऑफ दिस इंटरन्यूक्लियर डिस्टेंस बिटवीन टू एडजेसेंट एटम्स ऑफ द सेम एलिमेंट बिलोंगिंग टू टू मॉलिक्यूल्स ऑफ द सेम स्टेट, इनका जस्ट हाफ लिया, तो दिस हाफ इज डिफाइंड एज द वैन डर वाल्स रेडियस ऑफ ऑक्सीजन. So this is the van der Waals radius. तो आपको दिमाग में क्या क्या रखना है, van der Waals radius मतलब नॉन बॉन्डेड सिस्टम होना चाहिए. नॉर्मली ये सॉलिड स्टेट में डिफाइन करते हैं. दिस van der Waals radius को हम लोग ने अनदर नाम दिया जिसका नाम है कॉलिजन रेडियस. एंड ये जो वैंडरवाल रेडियस तभी मेजर करते हैं जब टू एडजेसेंट मॉलिक्यूल्स के बीच में कोई केमिकल बॉन्ड नहीं है, बट देयर इज ए सर्टेन अट्रैक्टिव फोर्स जिसका नाम हमने दिया वैंडरवाल फोर्स. सो व्हेनेवर वी हैव दिस सिस्टम, जिसका जो डिस्टेंस है दैट इज नोन एज वैंडरवाल रेडियस. सो दिस में बी इन एटॉमिक फॉर्म और दिस में बी इन मॉलिक्यूलर फॉर्म. तो अगर दोनों के लिए तो वी हैव दिस. तो सपोज element X shows different types of bond. Suppose we have this element. This element shows covalent radii. Suppose covalent radii is A. This element X also shows metallic radius. Suppose this is B. This element also shows, suppose van der Waals radius. Suppose this is C. Same element is showing different types of bonding state. So depending on the bonding state, we have defined different types of radius. So now look at this. We have just seen then the comparison between these two. Then the covalent radii is having the least value, followed by metallic radii, followed by van der Waals radii. So if this is the case, then the value of A will be the least, then followed by B, followed by C. So this is how we compare the van der Waals radius, metallic radius and the covalent radius for the same element. So this is what we call as the comparison between these different types of radii. Now regarding this van der Waals radii, these van der Waals radius, as I told you, noble gas are generally measured in terms of this van der Waals radii. Because of this, the noble gas are having the largest value of radius in a particular period. तो ये जो van der Waals radius है, this increases as the repulsion increases. If suppose अगर रिपल्सिव फोर्स इंक्रीज करेंगे तो साइज ऑफ van der Waals रेडियस ऑल्सो इंक्रीजेस. ये जो van der Waals जब फोर्स साइज है इंक्रीज करते हैं, van der Waals का जो रेडियस इंक्रीज करेंगे एज द साइज ऑफ शेल, एज द शेल इंक्रीजेज. जैसे शेल इंक्रीज करेंगे तो van der Waals रेडियस भी इंक्रीज करेंगे. नाउ van der Waals रेडियस जो अगर आपका फुल्ली फिल्ड शेल होगा, इफ द फुल्ली शेल वैलेंस सेल्स इज कंप्लीटली फिल्ड है, तो फुल्ली फिल्ड शेल होने से रिपल्सिव फोर्स भी इंक्रीज करेंगे. एज द रिपल्सिव फोर्स इंक्रीजेस van der Waals रेडियस इंक्रीजेस. तो नॉर्मली जो नोबल गैस का जो साइज है, रेडियस ऑफ नोबल गैस, रेडियस ऑफ नोबल गैस नॉर्मली लार्ज होता है. द रीजन बीइंग दिस इज मेजर्ड इन टर्म्स ऑफ van der Waals रेडियस. एंड एक तो van der Waals रेडियस है, सेकंड इनके पास कंप्लीटली फिल्ड शेल है. बिकॉज ऑफ दिस कंप्लीटली फिल्ड शेल रिपल्शन फैक्टर इंक्रीज करेंगे. तो बिकॉज ऑफ दिस द रेडियस ऑफ नोबल गैस इज वेरी लार्ज कंपेयर टू द रेडियस ऑफ अदर elements. So this is noble gas. How we define the radius of noble gas? So we have atomic radii in terms of covalent radius, in terms of metallic radius, in terms of van der Waals radius. Next atomic orbital radii that we are going to define is ionic radii. So we are going to discuss the ionic radii. Ionic radius. Already we have defined three different types of atomic radii. The first one was covalent radii. The second one was metallic radii. The third one was the van der Waals radii. The fourth atomic radius that we are defining here is the ionic radius. Now, as the name suggests, this radius is defined only for ions only for ions. So ions may we have look at these cations as well as the anions. So now the question is, we have to define the ions. For this ion, we'll define the radius. Now we know the cation. This cation is formed by loss of electron. By loss of electron from valency shell. So if I lose, or if we lose removed electron from the valency shell, then this will result in the formation of a particular ionic species known as the cation. Whereas the anion is formed by gaining of electrons. Gaining of electrons in the valency shell. So if I add electrons to the valency shell, then this results in the formation of anion. So we have this cation and anion. So once we have this cation and anion, we will define the size of this cation and anion. Now why we require this ionic radius? Because we have a number of compounds in which the ions are present, that is known as the ionic compounds. So once we have these ionic compounds, it's better to define the radius in terms of the ionic radius, that is the radius of cations or the radius of anion. So now look at this, we have this cation. Suppose look at this, we have this A is a suppose neutral atom. Now from this neutral atom, suppose we remove some N electrons present in the valency shell. So after removal of these N electrons from the valency shell, this results in the formation of An plus. So this is what we call as the cation. Whereas in case of the anion, now look at this, again we have this neutral atom. Now to this neutral atom, we are adding some N electrons in the valency shell. The moment we add electrons in the neutral isolated gaseous atom, this results in the formation of ionic species, that is An minus, and this is what we call as anions. So we have look at this. Loss of electron gives you cation and loss again of electron gives you anion. Now by this loss of electron, cation is formed. By gain of electron, anion is formed. So that the size of this cation and anion will be entirely different from the size of this neutral isolated gaseous atom. So now we have this ionic radius. So suppose look at this, we have this neutral atom. Now this is the nucleus of this neutral atom. Suppose we have this A. Now from this we remove electrons. So we are removing electrons. Electrons are removed. After removal, this is neutral. From this we are removing electrons. After removing electron, we are getting this cation, that is A plus. Whereas we add electrons to this neutral isolated gaseous atom, this results in the formation of negatively charged species, that is anions. Now if you look at this, initially this neutral isolated gaseous atom, suppose we have this Z protons and Z electrons. Now the moment we are removing electrons from the valency shell of this A, some electron is being removed, the number of protons remain as it is, but the number of electrons decreases. Suppose we are removing one electron, so the number of electron is Z minus 1 electrons. So after removal of electron, the cationic species contains less electrons than the neutral. Number of protons remains same. So now look at this. When the number of electron is decreases to Z minus 1, the number of protons remaining as it is. So there exists a much stronger force between the remaining electrons and the nucleus. Because of this stronger attractive force between the electrons and the nucleus, there is the contraction in size. So because of this attractive force, the size of cation will always decreases. So we say because of this loss of electron, Z effective, that is effective nuclear charge, increases. As the effective nuclear charge increases, the attractive force between the rays of the electrons and the nucleus increases. Because of this, the size of this cation is decreased. So we say this distance, let's suppose this is distance of this cation, this is the distance of neutral atom. So we say, now look at this radius of neutral A, it will always be greater than the radius of the cation. So whenever we have cation, due to removal of electrons, the number of electron decreases, effective nuclear charge increases. As the effective nuclear charge increases, the attractive force between the valency shell electrons and nucleus increases, because of which there is a contraction in size. So that means the size of cation will always be less than the size of neutral atom. Now on the other side, look at this. We have this neutral atom. To this neutral atom we add electrons. So the number of protons remains as it is, Z protons. Number of electrons becomes Z plus 1. Now already this neutral atom contains Z electrons. To this we are adding an extra electrons. Due to the addition of this extra electron, there is a repulsive force between the electrons already present in the neutral atom and the electrons added from outside, because both electrons are having same charge. So because of this being same charge, there is an electronic repulsion. So whenever we add electrons, the number of electrons increases. So therefore repulsion increases. So whenever we say the repulsive force increases, because of this increase in repulsive force, the size of this anion will always be greater than the size of neutral atom. So therefore when we compare the size of neutral atom, cation and anion, the size of anion will always be greater than the size of neutral atom, and the size of neutral atom is always greater than the size of cation. So the reason is very simple. When we remove electron, number of electron decreases, attractive force between the proton, that is nucleus, and the less electron is increased. Simply we are saying effective nuclear charge increases. Because of this increase in effective nuclear charge, attractive force increases and there is a decrease in size. On the other hand, due to the addition of electrons to the valency shell, there exists a much stronger repulsive force between the electrons present in the valency shell and the extra electron added. Because of this repulsion, the size increases. So we are saying the size of anion is always greater than the size of cation. So this is what we call as the radii of ions, that is cations and anions. So now the question is how to define this ionic radius. From definition point of view, this ionic radius can be defined as the effective distance, from the nucleus up to the point, effective distance from the nucleus up to the point where nucleus can exert its influence on the electronic cloud. So this is what we call as the ionic radius. So simply saying, now after loss of electron or going of electrons, so we have electron is being added or removed from the valency shell. So now from this nucleus, at what up to what distance this nucleus can exert its influence on the electronic cloud, that effective distance is what we call as the ionic radii. So now look at this. If suppose this is the nucleus, this is the distance up to which this nucleus can exert this effect on the electrons, so we say this is cationic radius. Or suppose look at this, when we add electrons, this is the distance up to which this nucleus can exert its influence on the electronic cloud. So we say this radius is known as the anionic radius. So simply saying, the distance or the effective distance from the nucleus up to the point where the nucleus can exert its influence on the electronic cloud, that distance is what we call as ionic radius. So this is what we call as ionic radius. Now what we are observing here is, whenever we remove electron, effective nuclear charge increases, attractive force increases. When we add electrons to the neutral isolated gaseous atom, repulsive factor increases. As the repulsive factor increases, size increases. So now for isoelectronic species, that means the one having same number of electrons. For isoelectronic species, that means species having same number of electrons. Same number of electrons. Those species, either this may be cation or anion, if they are having same number of electrons, those are known as isoelectronic species. Now for this isoelectronic species, radius decreases, this is the size, decreases as the positive charge increases. So as the positive charge increases, the effective nuclear charge increases, the attractive force between the nucleus and the valency shell increases. As the attractive force increases, there occurs a decrease in size. So but this radius increases as the negative charge increases. But if you are talking about these anions, so anions having same number of electrons but different negative charge. So as the negative charge increases, the repulsion factor increases between the electrons. So as the repulsive force or the repulsion factor increases, the size of anion also increases. So we have this comparison of the radius of isoelectronic species. So now let's take this case cations. So we have this cation. Take this sodium minus 1 electron, we have 10 electron. Magnesium minus 2 electron, we have 10 electron. Aluminium 3 plus, so aluminium 13 minus 3. Then we have look at this silicon 14 minus 4. Now these are known as isoelectronic, that is the one having 10 electrons. Now moving from this, sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, number of positive charge increases. As the positive charge increases, effective nuclear charge increases. As the effective nuclear charge increases, size decreases. So when we compare the size of these cations, size decreases. So this decrease in size is because of the increase in effective nuclear charge. Now let's take the case of anions. Anions के बाद चलते हैं. The one having 10 electrons or anyone having same number of electrons. So let's take the case of this fluorine 9 plus 1 10. Then we have oxygen 8, 8 plus 2, 10. Nitrogen 7, 7 plus 3, 10. So now look at this, again we will be having isoelectronic, the one having 10 electrons. But moving from fluorine to oxygen to N3 minus, the number of negative charge carried by the ion increases. As the negative charge increases, repulsive factor increases. As the repulsive factor increases, size of these anions increases. So this is how we compare the size of cations and anions having same number of electrons. So when we compare the size of these cations and anions, obviously the size of anions should always be greater than the size of cations. So now combination of this cation and anion. Now look at this. The smallest size is silicon. So we have, look at this. Sodium plus greater than magnesium plus 2, which is greater than aluminum plus 3, which is greater than silicon plus 4. Now this is 10. Then we have, now look at this, noble gas neon. Now look at this, then we have F minus, then we have O2 minus, then we have N3 minus. So this is how we compare the size of isoelectronic species. So this is what we call as different types of radii that we have used in defining the size of atom. So having learned different types of atomic radii that we have come across, now the time has come to discuss the variation of this radius in a particular group or in a particular period. So that is what we call as periodicity. Variation of a radius means how this radius changes in a particular group or in a particular period. So first let's take this in a group. So in a particular group, moving from top to bottom, now we are moving from top to bottom in a particular group. Now on moving from top to bottom in a particular group, the radius increases. So the size of atom increases in a particular group on moving from top to bottom. So now the question is, why this radius? Whether this is Coulomb radius, whether this is van der Waals radius, whether this is ionic radius, or whether this is the metallic radius. For all radius in a particular group, moving from top to bottom, radius increases. Now this increase in radius, this is due to addition of extra shell. So on moving down the group, the shell number increases. As the shell number increases, distance between the nucleus and the outermost shell increases. As the distance increases, the size of atoms also increases. So now let's take the case example. We have group 1 elements. Now look at this. We have lithium, then we have sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium. These are the elements of group 1 alkali metal. So now look at this, moving from lithium to sodium to potassium, size normally increases. So this increase in size is due to the addition of extra cell. Similarly, group 2, that is alkaline earth metals, we have beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium. So again now look at this, moving from this top to bottom, beryllium to magnesium to calcium to strontium to barium, again the size increases. So normally moving down the group in a particular group from top to bottom, due to the addition of extra shell, the size of the atoms or the atomic radii increases. Now if atomic radii increases in a group, then how this atomic radius varies in a period. So let's see the variation in period. In a period, that is, we are moving from left to right in a period. Left to right. Now, on moving from left to right in a period, a radius always decreases. So now look at this. We are moving from top to bottom in a group. On moving from top to bottom in a group, size increases due to addition of extra cell. But moving from left to right in a particular period, there is no addition of extra shell. Cell number remains same. But we are just adding electrons. As the electron is added, nuclear charge also increases. As the nuclear charge increases, the attractive force between the nucleus and the valency cell increases. As the attractive force increases, the size contraction occurs. So this we define as increase in effective nuclear charge. Due to increase in effective nuclear charge, the size decreases on moving from left to right in a period. So this is due to increase in effective nuclear charge. Effective nuclear charge, that is Z effective. Now in a moving in a particular period, shell number remains same. As I told you, shell number remains same. Only we are adding electrons to the same shell. As the electrons are added, nuclear charge also increases. Attractive force between nucleus and the electrons also increases. As because of this increase in attractive force, there occurs a contraction in size. So as the electron is progressively added in the same cell moving from left to right in a period, size always decreases. So now let's take the case. When we consider this, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine. So now look at this. This is second period. Second period. We are moving from left to right. Lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine. So we are moving from left to right. So all moving from left to right, atomic radii decreases. So the size of these left elements is greater than size of the right element. Similarly, now look at this. Let's take this third period. Sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine. Now look at this. Again moving from left to right in a period, again atomic size decreases because of the increase in effective nuclear charge. So this is the general variation in the atomic radius in a group or in a period. Now this is the general variation, but there will be some exceptional cases. So let me just discuss you the some exceptional case, and why those exceptional cases do occur will define accordingly. So these things that we have to keep in mind. First thing, I've just sent you moving from left to right, atomic size decreases. So now look at this. On the extreme right hand side of the periodic table, we have noble gas. So now look at this. When we consider the size of noble gas, the radius of noble gas should be the smallest in a period. But if you look at this, the actual radius of the noble gas, the size of noble gas is the largest in a particular period. So why this is so? The size of noble gas is the largest in a period. So question is why the size of noble gas should be the largest? When we are saying moving from left to right, due to the addition of electrons in the same cell, nuclear charge increases. Because of this increase in nuclear charge, effective nuclear charge increases, attractive force increases, then size decrease. So now moving from left to the extreme right, on the extreme right hand side we have noble gas. So the size of noble gas should be the smallest in a period, but we are saying the size of noble gas is the largest in a period y. Now the question and the reason that we have variation that we have discussed seems to be something contradictory. Now this is not contradictory, but the reason is very simple. So first of all, now while discussing the atomic radii, there we have defined a particular radii known as van der Waals radii. Now this noble gas, all this noble gas, the radius of noble gas is defined in terms of non-bonded interaction, that is van der Waals radii. So when we define this noble gas in terms of van der Waals radii, the size of van der Waals radius is always the greatest, because there is no attractive, no bonding interaction that is being taking place. So we are considering isolated gaseous atom in which there is no bond exists. So the reason being, the noble gas size is the largest in a period because radius is measured in terms of van der Waals radius. So we are saying van der Waals radius is non-bonded interaction. Because of this non-bonded system, we are having the radius being the largest. So otherwise, this size of noble gas should have been the smallest in a particular. Second reason is, now look at this, rest of the elements, either we have some bonding interaction that is due to covalent bond, or this may be due to metallic bond. But whereas in case of this noble gas, the noble gas has got completely filled valency shell. Because of their valency shell being completely filled, there exists a stronger repulsion force. Because of this stronger repulsion, due to the presence of 8 electrons or completely filled shell, the radius of this or the size of noble gas is always the largest. Large repulsion due to completely filled valency shell. So because their valency shell being completely filled, there exists a much stronger, larger repulsive force. Because of this repulsive force, the size of noble gas is always the largest in a particular period. So now simply saying is, in moving along a period from left to right, size decreases, then the noble gas should have been the smallest, but the size of noble gas is always the largest in a particular period. The reason being, their radius is measured in terms of non-bonded or the collision radius, that is van der Waals radius. Similar, second, the noble gas contains completely filled valency shell. Because of their valency shell being completely filled, their repulsion occurs a large amount of repulsion. Because of this larger repulsive force, the size of noble gas is always the greatest. This is one of the abnormalities that we often come into. The second one is, because all these abnormalities I am making a star mark. Now let's take this group 13, that is the boron family. Now we have looked at this: boron, aluminium, gallium, indium, thallium. These are the elements of group 13. Group 13 boron family. Now we are moving from top to bottom. On moving from top to bottom, boron to aluminium, normal increase increase in size, that is expectedly, because moving from boron to aluminum there occurs addition of extra shell. Due to addition of extra shell or moving from boron to aluminum, there occurs a normal increase in size. So normal increase in size from boron to aluminum. Now moving from aluminum to gallium, we are moving from aluminum to gallium. Moving from aluminum to gallium, the size decreases. That means the size of aluminum is greater than the size of gallium. On the contrary, क्या होना चाहिए था? The size of gallium should be greater than the size of helium. But यहाँ पे abnormalities दिखाई दिया. Though we are moving from top to bottom, though there is addition of extra cell, but the size of gallium is less than the size of aluminum. Now moving from gallium to indium, again there is an increase in size. Then indium to thallium, though the increase in size, but very small increase in size. So this is the abnormalities in the variation of radius of group 13, which was not the case in case of group 12, group 11, first group and the second group. Now abnormalities comes here in group 13 onwards. So boron to aluminum, normal expected increase. Aluminum to gallium, expected increase होना चाहिए, but there is a decrease in size. Now we have to explain why this abnormalities is there. Moving from gallium to helium, okay, we are moving down the group. There must be addition of extra cell, so we can say because of this addition of extra cell, size increases, so no doubt. But moving from indium to thallium, though there is increase in cell, but there is very small increase in size. So we have to explain why these abnormalities occur. Now, to explain these abnormalities, we have to take into account this electronic configuration. So once we have this electronic configuration, we can discuss the variation in this radius. To explain these abnormalities, we have to look at this electronic configuration. Now we have this, look at this, moving, this is the valency shell. Now moving from boron to aluminum, shell number increases. We are moving from second shell to third shell. So as the shell number increases, there is expectedly increase in size from boron to aluminum. Now moving from aluminum to gallium, this was the valency shell. In case of aluminum, that is third shell. In case of gallium, we have fourth shell. So shell number increases, but we are saying the size, the actual radius of gallium is less than the size of aluminum. We have to explain this abnormality. Now look at this. In case of gallium, look at this. This is n-1. n-1 shell contains 10 electrons in d orbital. n-1 d. This is n. So now look at this. We have discussed earlier. Now the shielding effect of orbitals. Shielding effect. So we have shielding effect. So shielding effect of, or the screening effect of orbital says S orbital electrons has got the strongest shielding effect, followed by P, followed by D, followed by F. Now look at this. Inner shell of this gallium contains 10 electrons in the d orbital. Now the shielding capacity of d orbital being very poor, these electrons cannot shield the outer shell electrons from the attractive force of the nucleus. So since the shielding capacity of these 10 d electrons being poor, there exists a much stronger attractive force between the valency shell electrons and the nucleus. Because of this, there occurs a contraction in size. So we said this is due to poor shielding effect of 3d 10 electrons. So due to the poor shielding effect of these 3d 10 electrons, there occurs a stronger force between nucleus and the valency shell electrons. As a result, there occurs a contraction in size. So now look at it, this is due to poor shielding effect of d electrons. So we say this is simply say d contraction. Contraction in size due to the poor shielding effect of d orbital electrons. Acha. Now look at this. Moving from gallium to indium. Now, though we have inertia with 10 electrons in the d, but the effect of addition of extra cell is greater than the effect of contraction due to d orbital electrons. As a result, there occurs an increase in size from gallium to indium. Now, problem arises from moving from indium to thallium. Now, indium to thallium, though there is increase in size, but the size of this indium and thallium is approximately same. So, increase, we are saying a very small increase in size. So, now why there is a very small increase in size on moving from indium to thallium? The reason is again this electronic configuration. So, we have look at this. This is N valency shell, this is N minus 1, this is N minus 2, 6 minus 2, that is 4. F. Now look at this, we have this order of shielding effect. The shielding effect of F orbital is very poor compared to that of D, S or P. Now, this thallium has got 14 electrons in N minus 2 F orbitals. The shielding capacity of this 14 F orbitals being very poor, there occurs a much stronger attractive force between these valence shell electrons and the nucleus. As a result of this, there increase in attractive force. Because of this increase in attractive force, their increase in size is very less compared to the expected. So, in this case, this is due to very poor shielding effect of 14 4f orbital electrons. So these 14 4f ऑर्बिटल इलेक्ट्रॉन्स का जो शील्डिंग कैपेसिटी जो कि बहुत कम है, इस बिकॉज ऑफ दिस स्ट्रॉन्गर फोर्स एक्ट करते हैं, तो जिस को हम लोग कहते हैं एफ कॉन्ट्रैक्शन, कॉन्ट्रैक्शन इन साइज ड्यू टू द पुअर शील्डिंग इफेक्ट ऑफ 14 f orbital electrons. Now when this electron is entering in f orbital, 4f orbital, the series of elements is known as lanthanide. So this F contraction is also known as lanthanide contraction. So either we can say this is due to F contraction or this is due to lanthanide contraction. Contraction in size due to the poor shielding effect of 4f orbital electron is known as lanthanide contraction, because in case of lanthanide, electrons are progressively entering in 4f orbital, and if you look at this periodic table, this thallium is coming after lanthanide element, so the effect of lanthanide contraction is observed here. So this is the reason why abnormalities occur. So when we discuss the abnormalities, we have to look into the electronic configuration. So in case of gallium, that is due to the poor shielding effect of 10 3d orbital electrons, which is known as decontraction. In case of thallium, we have 14 electrons in the 4f orbital whose shielding capacity is much poor compared to that of d electrons also. So this is what we call as F contraction, or commonly known as lanthanide contraction. Now this is the abnormalities that is observed in case of periods or in case of the groups. So before this group 13, now look at this, we have group 1 and group 2. So in this group 1 and group 2, no such abnormalities observed. These abnormalities in group occurs only after this lanthanide elements. So same effect will occur in case of, look at this,